There comes a moment in life when the home you once built with love, laughter, and familiar routines no longer seems safe or manageable. For many older adults, that's when the idea of moving into a nursing home first appears promising, care security, and a sense of relief for both themselves and their families. But what happens after the move? What emotions come when the doors close and routines change? In today's heartfelt reflection, we share the quiet truth from someone who made that move and now carries deep regrets. Not because the staff was unkind or the building inadequate, but because something far more personal was lost: independence, identity, purpose. This story is not to shame the choice of a nursing home. It's to offer gentle insight for those who may be considering it, or for families trying to make the best decision for their loved ones. At Senior Wellness, we believe that aging with dignity means listening to the voices of those who've walked the path before us. Their wisdom is not bitter, it's honest. And from it we can learn how to age, not just safely, but meaningfully. If this message resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Losing my independence, the quiet cost of institutional living. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was the practical thing to do. It would be safer, easier, more help. And in many ways that was true. The meals were prepared, the staff was kind, and there was always someone nearby if I needed anything. But what I didn't expect to lose was my independence, the small freedoms that once made me feel like myself. Back at home, I had my own rhythm. I could decide when to get out of bed, when to eat breakfast, or when to simply sit by the window with a cup of tea. If I wanted to read late into the night or take a walk before dinner, I could. I had control over my time, my choices, and my space. In the nursing home, everything followed a schedule: meals at specific times, lights out by a certain hour. Activities were offered, yes, but none of it felt like mine. Even going for a walk meant checking with staff. I needed permission to live. That's when I realized something painful. I hadn't just moved out of my house, I had surrendered a part of my identity. Independence isn't just about doing things for yourself. It's about feeling like your life still belongs to you, that you still get to choose, that you're still trusted to know what's best for you. And when that feeling fades, something in the spirit begins to dim. At Senior Wellness, we honor the power of autonomy. Senior, because growing older doesn't mean losing your voice. In fact, your voice matters now more than ever. Senior living should be about more than safety. It should be about freedom, dignity, and the right to live with intention. This isn't to say that nursing homes are bad. For some, they provide critical care and peace of mind. But it's important to go into the decision with open eyes, to understand that the comforts they offer can sometimes come at the cost of something deeply personal. If you're considering such a move or helping a loved one who is, take time to ask, what parts of daily life matter most to me? What freedoms can I preserve even in a new environment? Because independence isn't just a luxury, it's part of what keeps the soul strong. Of feeling forgotten, when visits fade and silence grows. When I first moved into the nursing home, the visits came often. My children would stop by on weekends, sometimes bringing the grandkids. They'd sit with me for a while, catch me up on their lives, and reassure me that I was still part of theirs. In those early weeks, I clung to those visits like sunlight on a cold day. They made the transition easier. They reminded me I wasn't alone. But then life got busy. The calls came less frequently. The visits were shorter. Excuses grew more common: work schedules, school events, travel plans. I understood, of course. I've lived long enough to know how demanding life can be. Still, understanding didn't make the loneliness any easier. There's a quiet kind of grief that comes not from being alone, but from feeling forgotten. Sitting in a shared room, watching the door, hoping it might open, but it doesn't. Not today, maybe not this week. You start to wonder if your presence still matters, if you've slowly faded into the background of their lives, and that thought, it aches more deeply than most people realize. At Senior Wellness, we believe every elder deserves to feel remembered, valued, and included. Because senior living isn't just about care, it's about connection. And connection doesn't have to be grand: a phone call, a photo, a letter. These simple gestures remind us that our place in the family still exists. To families watching, this is not about blame, it's about awareness. As time passes, the one thing your parent or grandparent wants, more than anything, isn't gifts or grand gestures, it's you, your time, your voice, your presence. And to those who feel forgotten, you are not alone. Many have walked this same quiet road. Your worth hasn't lessened. Your story still matters. And sometimes simply speaking your truth can light a path for others to follow. Loneliness is not a weakness, it's a human need for belonging, and honoring that need is part of true, holistic health. So if you're listening now and this resonates with your heart, let it be a gentle reminder to reach out or to speak up, because love is still there. It just needs a place to land. Losing my sense of purpose when the days feel empty. Before I moved into the nursing home, my days had shape. I wasn't running marathons or building houses, but I had routines, responsibilities, reasons to get out of bed. I tended to the garden, cooked my own meals, fed the birds each morning. These small acts gave my days meaning. But after the move, much of that faded. The meals were prepared, the laundry done by staff. The things that once filled my hours, tasks I'd taken for granted, were now gone. And with them, my sense of purpose began to slip away. It's easy to underestimate how deeply we humans need to feel useful to contribute, to matter. But when there's nothing to tend to, no role to play, you start to feel like a shadow of who you once were. I watched others in the nursing home go through the same quiet shift. People who were once vibrant, thoughtful, engaged, now sitting silently in common rooms staring at television screens, the light inside them slowly dimming. Not because they weren't cared for, but because they no longer felt needed. At Senior Wellness, we believe that senior living must include more than comfort and care. It must include chaniki, meaning. Whether it's folding napkins for the dining room, mentoring a younger resident writing letters, or tending to a plant, purpose can take many forms, but it must exist. When we lose purpose, we begin to feel invisible, and that invisibility wears on the spirit. For anyone listening, especially caregivers and family, please understand this truth. Older adults don't want to just be looked after. They want to belong, they want to give. Finding ways to include them in daily decisions, tasks, or shared moments can reignite the flame of purpose in a profound way. And to those living in care homes, please don't believe the lie that your purpose has passed. If your heart still beats, your story is still unfolding. You still have something to share. Whether it's your wisdom, your humor, your patience, or your voice, you are needed. And that deep sense of purpose is a vital part of holistic health. So rise each day, not just to be cared for, but to care however small the act. Because the smallest light still brightens the dark. Declining health faster than expected, when comfort replaces movement. Before I moved into the nursing home, I still felt capable. In many ways, I wasn't as quick as I once was, but I moved with purpose, watering my plants, walking to the mailbox, even climbing stairs slowly but surely. My body, though aging, stayed active because I asked it to be. But once inside the nursing home, everything became easier. Too easy. Meals were delivered, laundry was taken care of. There were elevators instead of stairs, wheelchairs instead of walking paths. And while this comfort was meant to help me, I slowly realized it was also allowing me to do less and become less. The truth is, when the body isn't challenged, it begins to give up ground. Muscles weaken, joints stiffen, balance fades. Within months, I noticed my legs weren't as steady, my energy dropped, and the few steps I used to take with ease suddenly felt like a chore. It wasn't illness that changed me, it was inactivity. At Senior Wellness, we believe that senior living must go beyond just safety. It should encourage movement stimulation and the daily use of our abilities, even in small, meaningful ways. Because why? Holistic health isn't just about being cared for, it's about staying engaged with life physically, mentally, and emotionally. Yes, rest matters, but so does action. Many older adults decline, not from disease, but from disuse. When everything is done for you, your body no longer feels needed. And when your body doesn't feel needed, it starts to shut down gently, quietly, but steadily. If you or a loved one are considering a care home, ask, will I still be encouraged to move, to stretch, to walk? If you're already in one, look for small ways to stay active. Even lifting your own cup of tea, standing to stretch, or walking short hallways can make a world of difference. We're not meant to sit out the rest of our lives. We're meant to move through them at whatever pace we can manage. The body is wise, but it needs our cooperation to keep going. To anyone listening, don't underestimate the power of daily motion. It's one of the strongest predictors of longevity and wellness in later years. So keep moving. Keep showing your body that it still has purpose, because each step you take is a quiet act of strength and a message to yourself that you're still here, still capable, and still becoming. The loss of privacy and dignity, when even simple moments no longer belong to you. One of the hardest parts about moving into a nursing home wasn't the new routine or the unfamiliar surroundings. It was losing the quiet comfort of privacy. privacy. The feeling that some things in life still belong to me alone at home. I had my own space, my own rhythm. If I wanted to close the door, take a long shower, or simply sit in silence with my thoughts, I could. But in the nursing home, that freedom slowly disappeared. I shared a room. Staff came in and out sometimes without knocking. Personal care moments like bathing or dressing became tasks performed by others. There's kindness in the help, yes, but it still chips away at something important. Your dignity. It's not easy to explain unless you've lived it. The feeling of someone assisting you with the most personal parts of your day, not because you want it, but because you have no choice. It makes you feel less like a person and more like a patient, and dignity once shaken is hard to rebuild. At Senior Wellness, we believe, senior living should never mean surrendering the essence of who you are. Even in supportive care, every older adult deserves respect, gentle handling, and the opportunity to preserve as much independence and holistic health as possible. Privacy isn't a luxury, it's a human need. It reminds us that we are still individuals, worthy of boundaries, choice and space, and dignity. That's the foundation of emotional well-being in our later years. If you're helping a loved one transition to a care facility, ask how privacy is protected. How often are doors closed during care? Are choices honored? Are voices listened to? And if you're a resident yourself, know that it's okay to speak up, to request a moment alone, to ask for respect in how your care is delivered. These are not demands, they are rights. Growing older should never mean giving up the things that make you feel human. Your stories, your preferences, your need for quiet, for space, for gentleness, all of these deserve to be honored. Because in the end, dignity is not about doing everything yourself. It's about being seen, heard, and treated with care even when you need help. That is what senior wisdom teaches us. We never stop deserving our own space, our own say, and our own self-respect. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think, when returning home isn't so simple. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. Just for a little while until I got stronger, until things settled down, I imagined I'd go back home. Once I adjusted, once I was ready. But what I didn't realize then is how hard it would be to leave. Time passed, and with it, certain things changed. My legs felt weaker. I got used to not cooking, not doing the laundry, not moving around, like I used to. Little by little, I became more dependent and less confident. The house I once loved began to feel far away, not just in distance, but in reality. Family had moved on, the furniture had shifted. The stairs I once climbed now seemed impossible, and the money spent on nursing care, well, it meant less left for home help or renovations. If I were to return, that's when it hit me. Leaving the nursing home isn't as easy as walking out the door. Sometimes it becomes a chapter you can't close, even when your heart wants to. At Senior Wellness, we gently remind families and older adults alike. Senior living choices should be made with deep care and long-term thinking, because once you step into a new way of life, it's not always simple to step back. This isn't about regret, it's about awareness. Many people imagine that entering a nursing home is a flexible option, something you can reverse. But the truth is, physical health often declines in that environment, not due to poor care, but due to reduced activity and loss of daily challenges. Over time, your independence fades, and the possibility of returning home feels less realistic. For those considering the move, think about what makes your current life meaningful. What supports might help you stay home longer? Home care aides, meal services, modified living spaces. And for caregivers, include your loved ones in these conversations. Let them voice their hopes and concerns, because once that door closes behind them, it may be harder to open again. Senior wisdom teaches us to look ahead, not in fear, but in clarity, to make decisions that honor not just the body's needs, but the spirit's longing for familiarity, freedom, and comfort. If you ever feel unsure, talk with a trusted doctor, counselor, or senior living advisor. These choices deserve time, support, and honesty, because every chapter of life matters, and so does how we choose to turn the page. If you've ever wondered whether moving into a nursing home is the right step, or if you're already there and quietly struggling, you're not alone. These reflections aren't shared to create fear. They're shared to offer understanding, real voices, real wisdom, and a reminder that your experiences matter. At Senior Wellness, we believe growing older should never mean giving up your dignity, your independence, or your sense of purpose. Every chapter of life is still worth living fully and on your terms. If this video touched your heart, we invite you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Whether you're making decisions for yourself or someone you love, your story could guide someone else through theirs. Together, We're building a community where aging is honored and every voice is heard. Take gentle care, and remember, your life still holds meaning, one peaceful day at a time.